So SpaceX's Starship 35 static fire campaign is spitting engines. Can they overcome this critical problem? A new launch date is less than 2 weeks away. Can SpaceX make it happen against all odds? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Just as hopes were rising for a flight in the next 2 weeks, Ship 35's static campaign didn't go quite as planned. Footage from the evening of May 1st shows a flash at the likely premature end of the test. Unusual even by test fire standards, followed by a lingering fire beneath the vehicle. Jordan went out with a boat the next day to inspect the site from the river, nothing out of the ordinary. Was that something being blasted out of the trench? An engine, perhaps? Part of the flame trench at Massey's? It doesn't take an expert to know that's not how it's supposed to look. Is it as bad as it seems? And more importantly, does this delay a launch? Before the static fire, we saw alerts and notices to mariners in the Gulf for no earlier than May 13th. That has now changed to not earlier than May 19th, which is still just 10 days away from when this video came out. For SpaceX, this feels like an extremely high-stakes moment. After 2 back-to-back flight test losses, there is mounting pressure to prove the Block 2 redesign is ready, but Ship 35's hiccup suggests that at least some more work lies ahead. This was a longer duration, 30-second static fire designed to test 6 engines. It was likely designed to go 60 seconds though. SpaceX had already completed a single engine relight test earlier in the week, but at the end of this latest test, things got a bit colorful. We all know that green flames are usually indicative of an engine-rich burn, which basically means that the engines are eating themselves as copper, which is a part of the internals of the engine, burns green. You can also see blue flames as well. These could be an indicator of a turbopump failure. If a preburner which partially burns propellants to power the turbopumps fails and allows too much fuel-rich exhaust into unintended areas, this hot exhaust can burn in oxygen-rich regions, creating a striking blue or violet flame. All these indicators point to an engine failure. If that's the case, all the fixes on the last 2 flights might have simply been aimed at the wrong areas. Vibration was SpaceX's main concern. Is SpaceX testing for a specific problem here? Maybe they've now found the true root issue for the Block 2 problems? As always, we'll wait for word from SpaceX to explain the situation. Starship is not just a big rocket. As we've said before, it's central to landing crewed missions on the moon, lowering cargo costs to space, to SpaceX's satellite plans, and to the broader goal of routine spaceflight. If the system keeps hitting snags, so do these timelines, and so does the outlook for a multiplanetary human race. It would appear from an outsider perspective that SpaceX faces a tough choice: keep pushing to regain momentum or pause and address deeper issues. With a second launch pad nearly operational, the pressure to go faster is only going to increase. Or will the program accelerate even more once Pad B is fully operational? Can we just jump straight to Block 3? One indicator for things speeding up even further is the recently published final tiered environmental assessment. The FAA has given its green light for a flurry of important things. SpaceX is now allowed to launch 25 Starships per year. The Pad B construction is approved for launches. Landings in the Gulf of Mexico, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean around Hawaii, and in the Southeast Pacific are approved for the next 5 years. Breakups during those landings will not lead to SpaceX having to stand down or do an investigation. And floating sea platforms, also known as drone ships, are also mentioned. All these approvals point toward an ever-accelerating Starship development program. The US government wants this to be done as quickly as possible, and times when SpaceX was slowed down heavily by regulations seem to be over. Late in the day on May 2nd, SpaceX decided to roll back Ship 35 to the production site, where it settled back into Mega Bay 2, likely for repairs and engine replacements. The highest priority is fixing this ship and likely getting it out for another static fire. Let's do it! Flight 9 currently feels like a tipping point, and not because it's the first test or the flashiest, but because it's unfolding under a microscope. Every delay, every anomaly, every odd flame color is looked at. Nothing goes unnoticed. This is part of what it means to develop something new in full view. With Flight 9 now set no earlier than May 19th, questions about the Block 2 Starship are being raised. Is it even viable at this point? Are the continued troubles more related to the Raptor engines themselves, or maybe even something we've missed and haven't seen yet? We've also seen glimpses of Ship 36 recently, as it's received a considerable portion of its tile coverage. After completing cryogenic proof testing, it's now back in Mega Bay 2, being outfitted for its upcoming static fire testing and is currently slated for Flight 10. When that ever happens. Ship 37, the fifth fully stacked Block 2 vehicle, is nearly finished and will presumably begin cryo testing in the next few weeks. It's assigned to Flight 11 and could end up being the first to reach orbit, depending on how earlier flights go. For now, it's still missing tile work, which may be delayed until more data comes in from test flights of the ships before it. Fingers crossed. We all know that Starship will ultimately progress in the future, and what better way to get to see it than to take flight in a helicopter. Check out redlineheli.com/Felix for a once-in-a-lifetime experience and $25 off flying in a helicopter above Starbase. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same views our photographers get on their Starbase flights. Give it a try. The scene at the production site is a bit more chaotic than usual. With heaps of metal and scrap from the portion of the Star Factory that is being torn down lying in front of both megabays. As we ponder the fate of Block 2 starships, it's somewhat fitting to watch other portions of Starbase that were only recently considered new get torn down to be redone yet again. After watching the high bay come down slowly and in manageable pieces, we now see the Star Factory's walls being toppled over in huge segments. But as we've seen with SpaceX through the years, do things like this even surprise us anymore? The chunk of the Star Factory that is being torn down is but a tiny sliver in the building's overall footprint. If you check out this map of the layout of the building, it only amounts to the small lower left corner. Speculation does come up on how the new Gigabay will be constructed and oriented once this deconstruction and that of the high bay is complete. But one thing is for certain, there will be plenty of room for more ships and boosters. Here's the next big move from SpaceX, literally. 3 large self-propelled mobile transporters were brought into position to move the largest and most important piece of the brand new Starship Pad B. But first, let's listen to a quick word from today's sponsor. So SpaceX is leading the bid to build Trump's Golden Dome missile shield, a satellite-based defense system meant to detect and destroy incoming threats from space. But depending on where you look, this is either a reckless handout to Elon Musk or a bold leap toward privatized space defense led by America's most advanced space company. Go to ground.news/why for the full story. Especially when it comes to Elon Musk and SpaceX, I can't think of a better platform to help me make sense of it all than Ground News. My partners built the only app and website that shows how the world's media covers the same event for a more comprehensive understanding of any issue. Ground News was actually founded by a former NASA engineer. And the best part? They're not some new tool to learn. Ground News is a smarter, better version of how you're already staying informed. If you're reading about SpaceX somewhere else, their browser extension flags the outlet's bias and instantly links you to science and tech-focused sources. Or follow breaking news on Elon Musk, SpaceX, and technology with special interest pages tailored to the issues you care about most. It's ad-free, subscriber-funded, and aligns with what we do at Why, promoting better understanding through informed discussion. So, I got my viewers 40% off the same unlimited access Vantage plan I use to find these kinds of stories. That's just $5 a month when you go to ground.news/why or scan this QR code. Be part of our mission to help the world understand where space, science, and society are heading today. Amazing! Alright, all facts and biases checked, let's continue with the heart of Starship Pad B. The OLM finally took a ride over to the launch site late Tuesday night. All through the day leading up to this, examinations of the shoulders of Highway 4 were conducted. We don't know if this was a cause of delay, but it is safe to say that you should not take any chances when you transport something so heavy and valuable. A mishap here could have thrown the project back by months, and the implications of a huge chunk of solid steel stranded on Highway 4 effectively blocking that road are also something you'd rather not deal with if you can avoid it. With the rollout, Pad B is one step closer to being fully operational. We'll now get our first chance of seeing it on the launch mount very soon. A lot of our questions and speculations about how it will look in its final resting place are about to be answered. This single piece of Pad B weighs around 1,000 tons. It is truly huge. What do we know about it so far? Let's have a look together. We mentioned in our latest segment that Pad B holds a potential key to the Starship program, accelerating through whatever it is they are experiencing now, and the OLM is central to Pad B's success as a whole. In October 2024, SpaceX started building the steely giant at its production site at Starbase. It's taken 8 months of mainly welding to construct a monolithic unit capable of withstanding the destructive forces that are unleashed in a Starship launch. Looking through these months, we see how it evolved from the ground up. And speculation about this construction and the way it would be incorporated into the launch complex grew with it. It was apparent from the outset that this novel structure would be fundamentally different from the original OLM in every conceivable way. Despite its immense size, Pad A's OLM possesses a tall and spacious quality. Pad B's launch table looks chunky, beefy, and rock solid. This bold piece of hardware has the quality of a fortress, built with durability as a top priority. This resilience is not only achieved by pure material strength, but also supported by built-in cooling systems. SpaceX has learned from the iterations introduced to Pad A over time, with the most important being the installed water-cooled steel plate. The famous shower head. The new launch table's top surface is now fully water-cooled. The enormous water pipes that are visible on the sides show just how much flow is necessary to keep this steel plate cool. If this system works the way the engineers have planned it to, it will be a vital part of the rapid reusability that is the ultimate goal of the entire Starship program. But achieving this vital objective is impossible if the launch site requires refurbishment following each and every launch. Now, before we take a closer look at proposed NASA budget cuts, let me say that creating a Why episode is a team effort. You are very much a part of this team and can help me out easily. Our channel metrics show over 4 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help improve the channel and double check that you've hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our updates. Like this video if you appreciate the content and become a Why supporter for extra content. Secure your access to up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, aerial and ground photos and 3D animations, chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. The entire team is waiting for you, you rock! One final note on Starbase is that it's now an officially incorporated city. Last week the final vote for incorporation was held and passed 212 to 6. Most of Starbase is now occupied by SpaceX employees, so the measure's passing is no surprise at all. Few original Boca Chica residents still remain in the area after the last several years of transformation. This is particularly important for the future of the city. SpaceX no longer has to rely on county officials or sluggish bureaucracies to move forward, and as a city they can control their own zoning, permitting and infrastructure decisions, enabling faster expansion with fewer delays. They'll also be able to collect taxes, issue bonds, and apply for state and federal funding to improve roads, utilities, and emergency services. This is all happening while NASA's deep space strategy may be heading for a significant pivot. No pressure, Starship, none at all. Really, yeah. According to the new administration's proposed 2026 budget, the agency would begin winding down both the Space Launch System and the Orion capsule after just 2 more Artemis missions. Boom! That's a big deal considering SLS was once the centerpiece of NASA's moon plans. The reason comes down to cost and speed. Each SLS launch currently costs over $4 billion, and the program has run 140% over its original budget. Maybe even much more. After years of supporting the program, now the White House is signaling that it no longer sees that kind of expense as sustainable. Instead, the plan shifts investment toward commercial launch providers and new crew vehicles that can deliver results faster and at a lower cost. One major casualty of that shift is the Lunar Gateway, the planned lunar space station that would have supported SLS missions. Under this new budget, the development of the Gateway would be paused indefinitely. No more Gateway. In its place, NASA would accelerate efforts to get boots on the moon and eyes on Mars using smaller, more flexible infrastructure. The numbers show where the priorities are, as the proposal cuts nearly $900 million from legacy exploration systems like SLS and Orion. At the same time, it boosts funding for new Moon and Mars initiatives by over $7 billion, with more than $1 billion specifically aimed at Mars-focused development. Here we go. The underlying message is clear. The administration wants to beat China back to the Moon and begin laying groundwork for Mars. But it wants to do it in a way that's faster, cheaper, and more commercially driven. Also, Jared Isaacman is now one step closer to being the next NASA administrator after a 19-9 vote approved his nomination. His full confirmation in the Senate could happen in the next few weeks. If approved, this budget would mark a significant turning point for NASA, but the deep cuts to science-based projects are a concern. The days of massive in-house launch systems may be winding down, with private industry stepping in to take on a larger share of deep space exploration, but the proposed budget also takes a heavy axe to science. NASA's science programs alone face $4.2 billion in cuts. That includes canceling the Mars sample return mission entirely, with the administration calling it over budget, redundant, and unnecessary in light of future human missions. It's kinda true. Earth science would drop from $2.48 billion to $1.28 billion, gutting climate monitoring satellites and restructuring the $2.2 billion Landsat Next mission into something cheaper. Space technology gets cut by $462 million, shifting early-stage innovation to private companies. Even aeronautics and STEM outreach will also be affected, with funding pulled from climate-focused aviation research and education programs. I'm not a big fan of that. The National Science Foundation would drop from $11.3 billion to $7.5 billion, slashing nearly $3.8 billion across clean energy, climate, and social sciences. These are large changes, not only in the budget, but also in the direction NASA is supposed to take. Time will tell if they deliver what the White House wants, an accelerated race toward the Moon and Mars. We recently did a flyover at the Cape and took these pictures of a test tank in the Blue Origin Tank Cleaning and Testing, or TCAT, facility. Last week, keen-eyed photographer Asher B, aka Kerbalistic, snapped these pictures of the same building. What we are seeing here is some sort of failed tank. The tank has buckled, and it looks like the lifting jig is now partially inside this test article. While a picture of a collapsed rocket part always evokes a slight discomfort, it does not have to be a bad thing. After all, testing to destruction is nothing out of the ordinary. We're still waiting for any official news about this test, but it shows that Blue Origin isn't standing still either. Testing is a staple part of the space industry. What you can see here is testing performed by VAST, a leading company in the field of commercial space stations. This domed window type will be used for VAST's first space station, Haven 1. With its shape building out from the station's outer wall, this window will allow the crew a better view of their home planet below and the endless sea of stars above. I so want to take a look out of that window. VAST's test fixture was designed to confirm the strength of the domed window. After all, this window's integrity is vital to every living thing aboard. These kicks simulate accidental bumps from crew members inside the station. Haven 1 is planned to launch in 1 year from now and usher in a new era of space exploration, being the first commercial space station. While relatively small in size with a height of 10.1 meters and a diameter of 4.4 meters, it offers a habitable volume of 45 cubic meters to support a crew of 4. Haven 1 might be a small station, but it still is a giant leap for the commercial space sector. VAST's plans already extend past its first station to Haven 2, a station that is a lot bigger and more complex than its predecessor. The station is planned to become a successor to the International Space Station and be fully operational in 2032. Haven 2 is a modular station and in its finished state consists of 9 modules arranged in a cross shape. The construction will start in a linear configuration for the first 4 modules. The 5th module is the core, and once it is deployed, the 4 original modules will be reconfigured around the core. In subsequent steps, each of these modules will be joined together with a second module for a total of 9 modules. That's a lot of modules. Once finished, Haven 2 will be able to permanently support a crew of 12 in a habitable volume of 500 cubic meters, surpassing the ISS by 112 cubic meters. That's way bigger. Next up, we have news from Skyrora. It's a Scottish aerospace company aiming to provide dedicated, flexible access to space from the UK. Its flagship rocket, Skyrora XL, is a 3-stage launch vehicle designed to deliver payloads of up to 315 kilograms into sun-synchronous and polar orbits ranging from 200 to 1,000 kilometers in altitude. One of the standout features of Skyrora's technology is ecozine, a proprietary fuel that is derived from waste plastic. This innovative fuel produces up to 45% fewer greenhouse gas emissions compared to traditional kerosene and can be stored for extended periods without the need for cryogenic freezing. For suborbital tests, Skyrora flies its Skylark rockets. The Skylark L is a single-stage guided launcher, while the smaller Skylark Micro handles simpler, unguided missions. Both are built for fast, flexible experimentation. Additionally, Skyrora is developing a Space Tug, an orbital transfer vehicle based on the upper stage of Skyrora XL. This vehicle is intended to reposition satellites and perform in-space servicing tasks, contributing to more sustainable space operations. Space tugs are a booming market these days. Here's to watching the UK position itself as a competitive player in the satellite launch market. Speaking of Euro rockets, Arianespace launched a Vega-C from the European spaceport in Kourou on Tuesday morning. Hidden in Vega-C's payload fairings was Biomass, an Earth Explorer mission from ESA. This satellite employs advanced space technology to gather new data. Similar to other missions in the Earth Explorer program, Biomass aims to enhance our understanding of forests and their crucial role in both the carbon cycle and climate dynamics. Biomass' most significant novelty is a P-band radar, the first ever deployed in space. The P-band's relatively low frequency allows for better penetration through obstacles such as foliage, smoke, sand, and even some building materials. This means it can penetrate clouds and forest layers to analyze the forest vegetation below. The returning signal reveals details such as forest biomass and height. Over the coming years, it will help visualize changes in growth and quality of our planet's green lungs. Additionally, biomass can also be used to map subsurface geology in deserts, ice sheet structures, and forest floor topography. Firefly's Alpha FLTA-006 message in a booster mission finally got off the launch pad recently. And what started as a promising day with a nominal liftoff and clean progression through first stage flight turned into a disaster quickly. The rocket suffered a slight mishap shortly after stage separation. Very slightly. The second stage ignition led to the loss of the Lightning engine's nozzle extension. As you can imagine, this is a very vital part of a rocket engine. Without the nozzle, the engine delivers only a very reduced thrust, if any at all. While at first it looked like the upper stage had reached an altitude of 320 kilometers, it soon became clear that orbital velocity was never reached. This led to a total loss of the stage and its payload. Both have since safely impacted the Pacific Ocean in a cleared zone north of Antarctica. Better luck next time. That's it for today. Before watching the bloopers, remember to smash that like button. Subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. A new Raptor design and our brand new Mechazilla fan club design are both up. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. Also, check out our print store at shop.whataboutit.space to buy a picture for your favorite wall. A significant amount of every purchase goes directly to our photographer Jordan. And if you want to learn more about SpaceX's Raptor engine and how it is completely revolutionizing spaceflight, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Additionally, excuse me, somewhat indicative. Environmental? Toots Day. Toots Day? Was it Toots Day? Singing. Sorry.